Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is a quick hit. Fauci has admitted that I am right. I'm going to put this up here for you. And here it is. Fauci says study that found up to 50% of people may be able to fight off coronavirus because they have immune cells that recognize it could be the key who dies of COVID-19. Oh, bullshit. It's not who dies of it. It's who's susceptible. By the way, that's the third such study. This one is out of La Jolla Institute for Immunology in California. There were two others. One, actually, I think both were written up in Nature. I read one in Nature, peer-reviewed. That one was out of Asia. Then there was another that's found the same thing. So now we got three. And now Fauci has admitted that 1/2 of all people have base immunity. Now, what does this mean? It means a lot. It means that herd suppression doesn't happen at 66%. It happens at 16%. Why? Because we didn't fail math in elementary school, right? Herd suppression is 1 minus 1 over the R0, which is 3. So that would be 66% minus the 50 that's already immune. It means you need 16. We are testing approximately 1/10 of the people who get it. In other words, you get it badly enough that you decide to go get tested. The other 9 infections, so the CDC says, are asymptomatic. Now, I have some data that says that there's a demographic skew to that. And I'll show that in the charts here because it's actually kind of interesting. All right, so let's go through these states. Tennessee is done. Okay, we're going to rearrange that a little bit here so I can click through these easily. Tennessee is finished. All done. Bye. We're finished. We've had it. Why? Because we're rolling over here. We're rolling over here. And oh, by the way, where are we? Well, if I roll this up a little bit, I'll show you. We're at 128,511 cases, which is right at 1.87%. Now, there are some areas that are demographically more diverse than others, shall we say, and those demographic areas will be a little bit behind. So this is why you get rounded tops and you get flat tops and things like this. It's not a homogeneous population. Sevier County, by the way, hit suppression a little bit earlier than that. Davidson County hit it a little later. Davidson is where Nashville is. So, and, you know, there's demographic difference, okay? Well, that's the nature of states. If you dig into it at the county level, you'll find the same thing. Texas, done. Florida, done. Arizona, done. South Carolina, done. Louisiana, done. This one, everybody was pointing at me a couple of weeks ago and said, oh, no, you're going to be wrong. You're going to be wrong. Because right in here, we were still getting cases, hadn't rolled yet, and we were right up around 2%. And I was starting to wonder if these were going to be the guys that falsified my theorem. Nope. It did not. But there, trust me, I sweated a little bit there. And by the way, if you're a data scientist and not a fraud, you look for the things that falsify your theory, or at least that you think do. I've been watching Louisiana very carefully because I thought it might. They have a demographic that is very similar to a couple of other states, and Georgia in particular, which we'll get to in a minute. They're not quite finished, and they're in about the same place where Louisiana finally did roll over. They're a little short of it, but they're going to be close. But demographic, they're an almost exact match. North Carolina, finished. Mississippi, finished. Illinois, looks like they're getting right there. And these guys, again, same sort of situation. They had a first spike. And, of course, then, masks and, oh, my God, social distancing, and you can't go for a run on the waterfront. Did a whole lot, didn't it? Not so much. Not so much. Arkansas is rolling over. See, right there. Hospitalizations, new cases, okay? Deaths will follow. Alabama is done. A collapse in new case rate. Georgia is, look at that right here. Man, oh, man. You know what? This is... And like I said, we're right on the edge where we should start to see this from the data that we saw in Louisiana. And I think that's exactly what you're going to see. Of course, death is going to lag, folks. It always does because it's a couple weeks. All right, now let's get to a couple of the other interesting ones. New York. Why didn't New York have a massive second spike? Because they were done a long time ago. And guess what? That's why there's no second spike. It's not because they had masks. It's not because they did social distancing. It's because they're finished. South Dakota, yeah, not done. 0.3% prevalence as of this point. That's going to be a problem. And they have a rally at Sturgis. Don't be shocked if you see this this little thing do on a because they're just not there yet, folks. And it doesn't matter what they and here's the point: it doesn't matter what you do. Okay, mask orders do not help. Social distancing orders do not help. Locking people in their homes do not help. Mandatory quarantines do not help. None of these things help. Why do I know this? Right here. Hawaii, when they started to see trouble, put a mask order in place just in front of the July 4th holiday. So the infection turn time, the amount of time before you get symptoms after you get infected, is about 5 days. So we're going to go forward here to the 10th, which actually is a little more than 5 days, but we'll give them a little bit of a benefit of the doubt here. They had 36 cases. Today, they had 354. I'm sorry. How many new cases did we have today? 354. 354 new cases. And 320. So they are, they're popping a boner. And the reason is there's a little over 1 million people in Hawaii. And they've only got 4,300 people that have gotten the virus yet, which means they're nowhere near suppression. And this is the reason that despite the fact that they've had a mask order in place now for 6 weeks, remember what Redfield told us? If we'd all wear a mask for 6 weeks. How many times have you heard this, folks? You notice he hasn't said that lately? The last week or so? I wonder if he looked at this chart. But what he said a couple weeks ago is that if we all just wear a mask for 6 weeks, there would be no more coronavirus problems. What does Hawaii say? Hawaii says he's lying. I saw the same thing in other places. I've seen it everywhere I look. The mask mandates, the lockdowns, they do nothing. What stops it? Is, well, when the virus stops virusing. And when does the virus stop virusing? Somewhere between 1.6 and 2% of the population, assuming that you've got 10 people that are asymptomatic for when you have. Folks, you cannot argue with the data, okay? I've done these charts and I've posted them on Twitter all the time for the counties here in Tennessee. We just had a clown face journalist yesterday claim that Davidson County, where Nashville is, the state capital, had a rising case rate, and all these GOP reps were not wearing their masks. Actually, Davidson County rolled over right on schedule. Sevier County rolled over right on schedule. You look at this, the data is irrefutable. Some counties do get suppression ahead of this, but on a larger basis, when you start including the major metros and stuff, this is where it happens, and it happens consistently. You can't argue with the information, folks. Mathematics just is. Data just is. And when you have a state to put a mask mandate in, when they had 35 cases coming in a day, and they now have 10 times as many, the mandate was worthless. That's the end of the discussion. Now cut the BS and cut the fear porn. It's time to put it to bed. I'm your ticker guy.